Do what you need. Yeah. Cello. Okay. That's working.
Son of a bitch! El Lottie frickin' da!
Quit playing with your dinghy.
Oh my god.
Amy, you got first.
Oh, brother, this guy
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
Right in those plums.
Fucker.
You're a fucker.
What the fuck is that?
What is what?
Get your hand off my penis!
Hi, Amizu. That was your hand. That was Amy's hand. We did, Omizu, we did. It was the cables. The USB cables I got were not fast enough for the camera. Hi, Angie. I didn't say that. And, yeah, it made it not work. So I had to get a faster speed cable. But the camera looks good. Camera looks good. I know, they really did. It was frustrating because I've never seen that before. And so I tried everything outside of that. And then I realized I could just check it with the cable because I was just always using the extension cables and then it worked. I mean, it looks really good. The color looks pretty accurate. No complaints. You see only black screen? Don't you mess with me, Angie. Nope, nope. Only in person, Amy. What are you talking about? The camera for the painting? Do you not see... Oh, that camera. Yeah, that camera's okay. Sorry. I'm like, is that are you guys not seeing that?
Fire the nuclear weapons.
Oh my god, hooray! We will see, Maddie. I also changed the lighting. I also finally changed my lighting, everybody. Raiders? Oh my god. Carlos, what do I owe this displeasure? Hello, Ink Figures. Welcome in. It's an interesting name. Dree D Fila. Okay, all right. Oh, brother, shut up, Lizzie. Los Santos. Ronnie the Rotten, welcome in. Who just fucking killed me? Lizzie, son of a bitch. That's a nice how do you do. You want to shit on my palette while you're at it? I'll fix the fuzziness here soon. I'm just not faced towards that way, so we're gonna do all the palette stuff first with the brand new camera. Dork sausage. I would love some bratwurst right now. No. It was Ink Figures. I'm pretty sure I read that right. Pretty sure I read that right. I'm positive. Okay, 7, not bad. All right, wait. MG, what are you talking about this black screen? I would love a hash brown bright, Amy. Thank you. I'm glad you figured it out, Inkfee. That is, you know. I do have a habit of renaming people. Like the famous Jennifer Newtaten. No. Ink fee. Gers. All right. Here. This is actually will be better. This is my setup for today. Oh God, Jesus Christ! Come on, camera. That's my setup for today. I am very normal. I'm very normal. This is called Badly Klimts the Kiss. All right. Abby normal, yep. Yes, I know. I know. It's a very normal thing for a normal man to do. No, Jesus H. Christ stops here sometimes, Amy. Absolutely. What are they going to do for you, Ink Fee? I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be... Did they just sing a thing like this? I think this is pretty cool. We could still change stuff. I want you all to know how much work this fucking took me to do, okay? I'd be dead, Lizzie. I'd be dead. That answer... Santi Leve? No, that's my friend, that's my friend Satan. He's getting caught having a kiss with our God Emperor. I don't know who that looming man is to the left, though. Alright. I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. Gotta be free, gotta be mean, gotta be everything more. Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? Walk out the door. I worship Satan. What warship? What's that? Transparent red. Big satin. Oh, you like satin? I'm looking to get a satin dress for props. Like a big shiny satin dress. Is this all dried up? Feels like it. I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything you like. Gotta be free, gotta be mean, gotta be... Yeah, of course for props. Do you doubt the legitimacy of that statement I just made, Maddie? I'd tell you if I was cross-dressing. Yellow, is this... Oh, that's benzimidazolone, I think. We could use benzo. The fuck is this? I think that's pyrrole orange. Inkfee, thank you for the follow. In other news... Oh, by the way, Carlos, post your links, by the way. Sorry about that. That's shitty yellow. Do you, the Mikey? Do I want to use benzo? Or just like the front layer? We could do that. I need to use it up. Okay. All right.
For the alpha male red pill
Neighbor
fund.
resistant. Good neighbor. Okay. All right, we ready? Hi, Richards. What's insane about this? Oh, thank you, Dreed Fellow, for the alpha male rip. Thank you. Thank you. Those red pills get very expensive, Dreadfellow. Okay, our palette for today is titanium white, lead white. This is I think this is benzimidazolone yellow, which is similar to cadmium yellow light, just a little bit more transparent. I need to use it up. Pyrrole Scarlet, Quinacridone Magenta, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue, Burnt Umber, and this is just a raw umber, greenish, Italian raw umber. I think was the name for what I bought. I don't like it. I just need to use it up. And I made a bunch of it. So this is, I don't need him. Oh, I guess I will use some Impasto Medium. Good. Everybody go follow Carlos or else. Carlitos. Richards, this is a very normal setup. This is stuff that, like, everybody does. Oh my god, Maddie. You and that wit. This is just a normal, everyday setup. I probably don't need a lot of white for this, actually. Phthalo Blue, yep. Phthalo, imagine what goes on your mind. You don't want to go in there, Richards. You don't want to go in there. Save yourself. New camera's looking good. New camera's looking good to me. What's so crazy about this? That I spent like hours paper macheing and building a neck and fish wiring and painting a skull and using random props and making paper mache horns. You think going back to the canvas, Ken? What's so crazy about that, Richards? Inkfee, you should have waited. You should have gotten badly made watercolors, Inkfee. I know you're kidding, Richards. Inkfee, you should have gotten badly made watercolors. You would have saved money and gotten a much bigger wiener. Probably need a little bit more yellow on this. Go exclamation point paints. There you go. Check those out, Inkfee. Well, you're gonna do it, Amy. Every time, 14 inches. Well, Lizzie, I have to explain this to a lot of people. I love the idea of painting weird, stupid, absurd things well. That's my main goal here. Take whatever commentary you want. The baseline of everything is I love the idea. I love the idea of just doing something people consider incredibly stupid well. This is 24 inches by 36. Welcome back, Inkfee. Yeah, I make and sell paint. I make all my own paint, Inkfee, including watercolors, oil pastels, oil paints, and probably on Monday they're gonna go live, gouache. We're probably going live on Monday with the gouache. I would have done it bigger if I had it. This would have been a 36 by 48 ideally. But don't have the money right now to buy those canvases. That is for my R&D department to know, but it's the snake oil. Gwish. That's right. Angie, are you just watercolors or are you gouache as well? When I can afford it. I'm sorry, gouache. Do you not know what gouache is, Mikey? Gouache is like watercolors. It's a type of paint like watercolors, but fully opaque. Same medium, but it's just opaque. It's the main difference. Quit being poor. I'm trying. I'm trying. But when the stretcher bars for one that size still cost like 80 bucks for good stretcher bars, it adds up quickly. Not to mention you have to buy more to get free shipping. No, they're the bastards, not me. Yeah, no, the one I want to build costs that much, Omizu. To get good stretcher bars at that size. You know they won't, Omizu. If I had woodworking skill, sure. Or if I could cut wood. All right. Almost done. Almost there. We do have to make more burnt umber soon and titanium white. Okay. All right. Now let's put out a little impasto medium. Palette cam is new. Yep, this is the new camera. Lincoln can do it. It's true. He was a great vampire hunter. Anything else? Maybe a little bit more in the phthalo. Okay. How much wood would you cut if you could cut wood? If I got into woodworking, I would try and make my own stretcher bars. Forcing you to paint good. How's the color? The color seems good, Salt, by all accounts. But we're going to see more once I mix some colors on the palette. This is just stand oil, everybody. Very important for the first layers. Or very beneficial, I'll say, to the first layers. Okay. Now we gotta mix all this shit up, huh? Maybe could have added a little bit more to this one. We'll see. But stand oil, very good for your first layers of the painting, considering this is going to be a few sessions. So I didn't add stand oil for flow or anything like that. I did it for archival reasons. Archival reasons, everybody. This paste is called impasto medium. It's just a filler. Since all my paints are just basically pigment and oil, I can extend them by adding a filler when I want to. And some of my pigments are extremely strong, and they take the fillers very well, but I don't want to make that choice for you. Hence why I don't add them. Except the phthalo. Phthalo blue is a maniac of a pigment. I miss that, NG. NG, do you do gouache? Doesn't change the color though. That looks pretty accurate color-wise. Yeah, you do? Okay. Well, you know, badly made gouache. Probably Monday. Yeah, but you don't want the canvas to go against the flatness. You need to like also you need to put a chamfer or a rounded surface on the edges for it. Plus you want the center cuts for the keys. I would not recommend just using 2x4s. Unless you cut them yourself. And make sure they're actually dry and not warped. Because you also have to plane them straight, mind you. Some would say too sexy, Angie. Some would say too sexy. Okay. Now the white. All right, good. Color seems good. Focus seems good. I wonder how this camera would do for a canvas. Forgot to bring a garbage bag over here. We'll do that later. Okay. Let's open up our oil. Oh god, that took 2 tries. Canvas cam. Yeah, well, I'll fix the blurriness. Okay. Oh, we are getting a bit of a shadow too from the camera. Hey, Maddie. So that light is coming down there. Right here. Okay. All right. Great. It's hard for me to tell at this distance if we're in focus right now. Nope, that's not. Somewhere around there. Really hard to tell if I'm in focus. Yeah. Okay. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky. What do we start off with here? The fuck am I doing? I don't have a viewfinder either, huh? What do I do? What do I do? Do I just try and do this by eye? We can. Okay. Gonna be like that, huh? Okay. Let's just make this all a mess. I wonder if my lighting for my palette is enough. It does look accurate, though. Stretching really far out. Done. What's the secret lighting sauce? Well, I've struggled with glare. And right now I moved some lighting and I'm trying these LED lightings right above me. They're not perfect, like spot, and I got some from the side as well, but I'm trying to figure out a way to reduce my glare, so I'm trying out new positions. All right. Yep, we're done, everybody. Who wants it? 3 mil. 3 mil. Going once. This is, yeah, I'm using Pyrrole Scarlet instead of Pyrrole Red. So it's a little bit more orangey. I've been on a Pyrrole Red kick a little bit recently. I would really like a viewfinder. Tape. Do I have tape? I have one that's not the right size. I could tape it. 1 second. I'm grabbing tape. No, Manny, not last night. 2 days ago. On Thursday, I made titanium white. The syringe went okay. So why I avoided syringes in the first place is because of oils. They're only like one-time use, and it adds actually. It's like they're not cheap, and then it's like you still have to fill those up for every tube. But in this one, I got one with like a longer. On the front, and I can load it from the back. And they hold like 150 milliliters, which would be like 7 tubes. And it worked okay. So on the oil paint ones, washing them with salt, you have to wash them with solvents, you know? And it fucks with it too much. Plus, I have to cut them down. And they don't fit in in the oil paint, it won't come out of a spout, so I have to like cut them down. And they don't fit in the tubes, the ones that can do it 1 tube at a time. So it never made sense with oils. But with gouache, like I said, I'm testing it out, and because it should be rewashable. Pastry bag, you waste too much. I just like, I know this. There will be creases in a pastry bag that you can't get shit out of. Yeah, because I've said it before. Okay, this is close enough. Okay. Good. Do I want it? I need it to go higher. Hi, Sashi. So syringes don't work well with oils, okay? They load them with like not a like an like an air pressurized thing that also measures it out, right? In a plastic snack bag, could you not cut it open? You can't scrape it out. You would have to like push it out. It just, whenever I've tried something like that, Maddie, it just doesn't, it hasn't worked out well. Okay. It either becomes a mess, like using parchment paper. I end up wasting a lot of oil paint when I try and parchment paper it into tubes. If you scrape it up, it cuts the shit open, like cuts apart the pieces, and then it gets into your paint. Yeah, there is. It just, it costs $1,000. You guys want to know something funny? I watched a video from a guy who makes paint, Blue Ridge Oil Paints, okay? That guy literally he runs a paint business. He loads them up with a palette knife. He loads his tubes up with a palette knife. Because he doesn't want to invest in the like air pressurized thing. You need an air compressor, you need like but it's a lot of cleaning. So like when you're making 1,000 tubes at once, yes, that cleaning makes sense. Right? But if you're making 10 to 15 tubes at a time and I lose half a tube because of a piping bag, can't do it. Yeah. Because you got to realize, like, even losing a half a tube makes it not worth it. And one of the best ways to stop that is just manually doing it with a palette knife. Now, the syringe, I lose a lot less because it does keep it well enough. The question is, do I have to buy a syringe every time I do a color? Right? So do I want to spend, like, add, like, another thing I have to keep in? So, like, is it worth it to spend, like, $4 on a $3 to $4 on a plastic syringe for every time I do a color? Possibly. How much time do I gain out of that? It gained me time. It gained me time. Most definitely. If I can clean them, it makes it a lot cooler. Or I can use them like 4 or 5 times. Somebody's lighting fireworks outside. Or I'm being shot at. I would wash the oral syringe if they use the feed Hannah. They work for a couple uses, just don't use soap. Yeah, I'm letting them soak in water, mud. I'll show you. I got another one over here. I believe it's over here. Were they over here? I don't know. It's not over here. It's a 150 milliliter plastic syringe that I found. And they were a reasonable price. But like, for example, here's other ones I have had. This is not the one I was using. This only holds 10 milliliters, right? You'd have problems getting the gouache out of here, and then you'd have to fill it up twice to do one tube. So you got to get a large one, and then if it's reusable, yeah. Here, I'll go grab the large one. Well, it's wet. I don't want to get my hands wet. They're 150 milliliters. That's 7 tubes of gouache. 7 tubes of gouache. And considering tubing can take me hours. Yeah. So the problem with the 60 milliliter ones for oil is that those tubes don't fit in the paint tubes. So it still creates a fucking mess. And to be exact, I still have to like go through the same measurement. So it doesn't really even save me that much time for oils. Sorry, I didn't realize I hit it. But for gouache, I don't know if they're oral syringes. I show you the link, but they're meant for thicker fluids. No, you're fine, Maddie. Thank you for letting me know. Because remember, like, gouache is a higher viscosity, right? Is the other thing I got to make sure that the syringes can handle. Yeah, so it needed a larger opening. I got this angle wrong already. Unless this shoulder relationship is... Yeah. Well, I think I found one that works, Mud. For gouache. For watercolors, I can't even use it. It's pointless to use them for watercolors because the batches aren't big enough anyways, and you know that takes no time. There hasn't been a plastic one that I have found that is the right size for tubing oil paints. I would ideally like to find a metal one. Well, so Maddie, you see how she was putting that into a paper cup? And notice how much more liquidy she makes her stuff than I do? And notice how she still brought out on that second video, she still brought out a palette knife to like clean up the palette. That's kind of the situation. A bench scraper does not give you a clean, like, scrape, is the problem. And then any spatula that is too thick will do the same thing because those edges are rounded. They're not, like, flat and go sharp. Palette knives are actually quite thin and sharp. I've cut myself with them before. And so they actually can, like, go to match the surface. And that's why they're just superior for cleaning your palette. So, like, a bench scraper is, like, probably 4 to 5 times thicker than a palette knife. So what happens is it smears. And then you're like, oh, what's the fucking point of this? Because now I have to scrape off this bench scraper. And then I have to scrape off the thing again, right? So, like, every time I've tried one of those things, it's like, oh, this is fucking pointless. You know, is where where it usually ends up off. Don't you boo me. I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be blue.
Move this man!
Stop it. Don't you boo me. I could be purple, I could be hurtful, I could be anything you like. I gotta be free. Where did that white come from? Gotta be everything more. Okay, all right. Well, it's hard to tell that if you're booing me or not. No, I know you're not booing me, Maddie. It's hard to understand when I'm being booed or not. Do 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 do. Boo do boo do boo do boo do boo. Do 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 do. Shooby doo booby doo. Halloween makes me insecure. Does it? Oh, okay. All right. I'm smart. Hey, but you know what, Maddie? That was much more clever than a these nuts joke. Oh my god, Maddie. That's hilarious. We got a goddamn Don Rickles in the chat, everybody. Maybe it's like down closer to here.
I be stroking.
Indeed. Indeed, Dreadfella. So what are we all doing for our God Emperor's birthday that's coming up? How are we all celebrating? I know Mud and Salt said they're throwing a barbecue. Arson? No, no, no. Hamburgers, yeah, good. I knew it. Well, I thought you were getting it catered by McDonald's. But you were just, like, pretending to grill. In this economy, true. McDonald's is a fucking ripoff, man. About halfway. How's that orange looking? Yeah. Okay. I think I'm liking this camera, everybody. I think I made the right choice. Well, no, I don't use it to fuel the car. I use it to propel the car with Sashi. You obviously need to fart max like I am doing. Okay? If you get your fart strong enough, you can use it to, like, Flintstones your car. I am fart maxing. You know, there's a guy on YouTube, on social media, I should say, who does fart maxing. Like, he, like, explains all the shit he's eating to make his farts more frequent, loud, like, bigger and smellier. I'm gonna get fart mogged. I might. I thought it was an interesting premise. But boys' meals, it's like a lot of cabbage, hard-boiled eggs, like meat. But he actually goes over the science of it, which I do appreciate. Just in case. Color doesn't seem right to me. But we'll see once we add this to it. Start off with that. I got the YOLO Live YOLO Cam S3 or whatever. Hate the name. Has great reviews. And I watched some videos on it. I was originally considering the Elgato Face Cam. But this one, like, pretty much had, like, the best reviews. And I know it's, like, a stupid as fuck name. But it's, like, several reviewers were like, yeah, like, this is the best one. Elgato had fine reviews. It was the same price as this cam. The Elgato Face Cam and this one were the same price. But Elgato, what the difference was, Elgato seemed to be more about, like, the party atmosphere shit. Yeah, that one, Sashi. It was like, what I mean by that is, like, oh, you have neon lights in the background and you want very saturated colors and shit like that. Yeah, and I completely, yeah, I'm not, yeah, they are definitely overpriced. But it's like it did get fine reviews as a camera, but I kept on seeing a consensus of reviewers being like, no, the YOLO Live one's like one of the better for your money and shit like that. Yeah, so the Logitech ones, Maddie, like, it depends. Like, so a lot of people said the Brio, the new MX Brio or whatever, was very good quality and very good pricing. I had some question marks on its color. And, you know, I'm prioritizing color accuracy more than a lot of things. But like, because they were talking about like for like 4K and shit like that. So point being is that I would probably, if you're worried about that, I'd probably just get the Logitech Brio. Yeah. I just want, what I want is the camera to show what I see. Or as close to what I see. That's what I want from the camera. Like, this is looking a little bit dark to me right now. From what I see. So it seems like in like the low color, it's not as accurate. I have calibrated. The monitors I'm currently using are not calibrated, Salt. But I have done it, and in the space that I'm working on, it did not make a difference. When I was first streaming, I spent half a year playing around with it. So this might need to come out a little bit more than it does. Nerd! Shut up, Cece. My brother had one of those camera monitor calibrator, like Spider Elites or whatever. That's part of it, Mud, too. Well, I know that the color I see is not way off. You get what I'm saying, Salt? I know that. Because I can compare it to, like, my skin. Right? I could see very practical examples of it. So it's like, I know that I'm close. Right? And that was my experience with the color calibrators. Because it was an actual tool my brother had. Because his wife does photography, and they calibrated that it measured the monitors, and then it would like adjust them. And that's what I did for my monitors in early streams and stuff like that. So I could like, because this is back when I was like more like color picking too. This is a dark period of my life, but you know, I was color picking and stuff. So I was like, can I, you know, get it? And it just because it's projected light, it will never be, you know, it being projected light versus reflected light is the difference enough to begin with. Yeah, it didn't. It did change them. It did change it, but it didn't like. It didn't lead to any like improvements in my viewing for how close I had. You know, and obviously, once again. I was trying to color pick and match the paints I was mixing to a monitor screen, and that's when I really got into the weeds and like the nature of reflected and projected light, the differences, right? Right? It doesn't work. But if you're doing digital and you have a printer that prints really accurate from digital for like photography, like, you know, that's why they had this shit to begin with, because of photography stuff. But what I'm like seeing, like, you know, I could once again see this and I see like, I feel like that when it was darker, it was reading very dark. And so that's something I'm going to keep an eye out. But I'm also far away too, so. Oh, yeah, yeah. I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. So this is just like all closer, I think.
Fucker.
You're a fucker, Maddie. Goddamn son of a bitch. By the way, so my curse on sumo wrestlers, everybody, is 5 out of 6 right now. Because Koto Zakura pulled out of the tournament. My sumo cursing skills is suspiciously high. We're at 5 out of 6. On this episode of Badly Note. They probably will, Maddie. They probably will. Shibby-dooby-doo, bibby-dooby-doo, boo-doo-boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I should probably start laying in some of the dark, like, well, let's do a couple more things. Let's see. XZSXS. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So that head might be a little bit too high. It's too high. The arm needed to go up more, I think. Maybe like up here. Up.
Fire the nuclear weapons.
Oh my god, a raid! Oh my god. What do I owe this displeasure? How you doing, Drez? We got raided again, Maddie. All under your watch. Drez, give us your links. Fair enough. Well, post some links. Or else. Or else. I don't think I'm doing that area right. You have a Ko-fi too. Don't you lie to me. Yeah, but people could still look at it, right? People could follow you on Ko-fi. Well, I just, I'm giving you placid invitation to do so. Right? Placid's the right word? Flaccid? I'm giving you flaccid invitation to do so. I don't think I'm seeing this well. It's tough doing this stuff from the... Whoever thought this painting stuff is difficult? I always thought this was going to be a breeze. Thank you, Drez. Everyone go follow Drez's Ko-fi, where he sells paint. Mainly acrylic, though. Which is the devil. Sells paint, yeah. That too. I don't know if I agree with that, though. I have my concerns. Is it just like, am I just pussyfooting around here? Where is this arm? The arms should be like here.
Badly.
We don't talk about K-pop demon hunters in here, Drez. Hi, Drew Holt. Gonna be golden. Gonna be. Oh, don't act like you don't know. Talking about golden. The song is called Golden. Yeah, but right now the head is only gonna be like the Stephen Miller head is only gonna be in this region here. So like just off to the side. And then we're gonna have like Trump, and part of his hair is probably gonna be cut off. It's a movie on Netflix. You've probably heard their song. Called Golden. Okay, Dread. Okay, all right. That's how we're doing this today, Dreadfella. Oh, I didn't know we were reading bastards today. Let's see. Oh, fuck. Ooh. Oh, God.
Stop whining.
I'm not whining. I'm not. All right. Let's make a lot of dark. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like y'all are dealing with glare, so this lighting does seem to have some improvements with regards to that. Hot damn, Shasta. Hot damn, summer in the city. There we go. We got a nude Shasta. Oh, fuck. Ah, beans and toast. The head just came off of satin. It just fell off. Okay, I gotta fix this. If you didn't hear that crash, that was the neck and head falling off. And falling into Donald.
Time to unfuck this.
So, gotta fix it. Taking off the gloves because I need to use duct tape. Our pets' heads keep on falling off! Hi, Pickles. You caught me. I have to fix the setup because it just fell apart. So, enjoy. I took care of it. God, I love that movie. Alright, I mean, I'm still gonna be able to talk. I just, I'm not gonna be looking at chat, okay? I'm not gonna be looking at chat. Don't laugh at me. Do you know how annoying this is to deal with, Maddie? I'll be back.
Fucker.
Thankfully it didn't break. The mask didn't break. Hot town, summer in the city. Just ruin anything. Fuck. God damn it. Moving the light. Dropping the tape. Moving the light again, because that's great. See if we can get Donald's head back in position. Fuck. Keep on almost tripping over myself. I don't know how close this actually is. Or what's off now. Okay. So this is where I gotta... No, the head's fucking off, isn't it? Satan head doesn't look that far off. think it might have been rotated a little bit. It ended up a little bit more rotated, but Trump's head is not tilted towards us enough, is it? Jesus Christ. Okay, let me go fix God Emperor's head. The fuck is Moriarty color wheel? How you doing, Achromatic Kidding? I have not heard of it. I don't really subscribe to color wheels. Kitten. I don't find them to be helpful. The blue, yeah, they are bulged. All right, let me go tilt this head a little bit. That should be better. Uptown, summer in the city. Color square is better. I just don't think they're useful. Like I said, that seems better. That seems better. There you go, everybody. Yes, this is set up in my home. It'll probably be set up for a week. That's right, everybody. Also, who's that? Who's that? Hanging around. I just move the focus. So now I think we're out of focus. There we go. All right, let's read what Kitten has to say. He has a method with certain pathway pigments, as he calls them, to get a wide gamut of color with a limited palette, but his website looks like it's from the 90s. Well, I mean, you know, that's what I do with my, like, you know, limited palettes. The gamut is like the range of colors that you can mix, and it's obviously better the wider range of colors you can mix with the lowest amount of colors. In my opinion, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 colors in my normal palette. Theoretically, you could probably... the second white doesn't really add much, but you could make... I think you can get there with... I think my palette set like 7 colors. You can get the white... You need 7 to get the widest range. What are we talking about? Some guy in Paris. The gouache tickle monster? That's true. You know, extruders, it's not everything, but like in like stuff that you see in real life, reflected light, you can mix from 5 pretty well. The additional colors I add are to get me the greens and purples, and then lead white for other reasons as well. Fair enough, some guy. I like color wheels, but I totally understand how many people aren't into it. I need some parameters, otherwise they're... Well, what parameters do you need? Like, what do you need help with? Of course, extruder. So that 5 color palette was to show you that you can make pretty much like almost every color you see in real life with those 5. Ma! Whose mom? Your mom? Sounds like a wonderful woman. But you know, you add the other 2, the phthalo blue and the quinacridone magenta, to open up your options to be creative, right? But it just, those 2 colors expand the gamut tremendously. Well, like, you know, that's why I kind of offer the colors I do, Kitten. If you use those colors in any medium, your mixing becomes a lot easier. Do you need help with color theory? I have on my YouTube, some guy, I have complete mixing tutorials and the colors I use to do so. See, I also combine that with good pigments. Oh, you're ma? Okay. Not you? You don't need help with color theory? Like, Kitten, have you watched my mixing, like the mixing streams I've done in the past? Why not, some guy? Real man, yeah. So you're an alpha male red-pilled Mormon like myself. Well, you could learn, right? Could all learn. I didn't know how to do it a few years ago. All right, just sourcing opinion. How weird is the neck in this, everybody? How weird do we feel about this neck? And do people realize why I did it? Why I did it. I mean, I don't think a purple is necessary. Like, I think putting a purple in a palette, if we're going for optimal gamut, is not optimal. No, I'm not talking about my painting, just in the setup as a whole. You do like it? Do you know why I did it? If you can breathe, you can learn. It's not a bad place to start, some guy. I mean, some guy, in all honesty, it's just finding one that you enjoy doing and then just, iterating. So I am like basing this off of Gustav Klimts, The Kiss. If you're familiar, if you don't know that painting, go look it up. And you'll see why I did kind of make that choice. Gustav? Yeah, Gus. Because Raphael liked long necks? Nope. This was inspired by Gustav Klimt's The Kiss. I didn't even like the painting that much, but I thought of this and I'm like, oh, I should do that. People like that painting though. I think this needs to be more offset. Did you look at the Skelly smooch, right? Kind of. They weren't skeletons, they were people. Just look it up. Would somebody mind actually just looking it up and posting a link? So we could all look at it? Have a good one, Drez. Did you, some guy? I know, isn't it? That's why I just kind of made the neck obnoxious in mine as well. I like the idea of this just being them getting caught smooching. You know, our God Emperor. You know, the world's God Emperor. Hot town, summer in the city. Nah, bruh. What do you mean, bruh? What do you mean, bruh?
And that's a fact.
I could see that. Random historical paint fact, huh? Let's talk about... Son of a bitch! Some guy. You bastard. Let's talk about how people paint. Okay? So, as you can see how I'm painting, this is generally called Alla Prima, which generally means all, I think it literally means, I should say, all at once or at once. And it's basically referencing like painting wet into wet, right? I'm not letting stuff dry. I'm going on top of it. Now there's no intentional layering. This is my block in and I will paint over this, but the layering has nothing to do with like the buildup of color, right? My goal is to hit the color on the brushstroke, right? And so forth, right? This became more popular during the 1800s, and it's not because of impression. You're fine, some guy. Impressionism necessarily, it's because availability of paint. Okay? And what I mean by that, well, how do you use, nothing requires layers in this, right? Kind of extruders, yeah, I like to explain it like a puzzle, right? Ideally, I just hit the color in the shape that I want and I build the puzzle, right? Obviously, it doesn't work out as perfect because I'm finding like the location of shit. You paint with thicker paint, or you just use enough paint to overpower the paint underneath it. Okay? Now, random bullshit go to a certain extent. Most people don't paint like me, some guy. A lot of people sketch shit out and are very planned. I intentionally don't do that. Kitten, if you paint with thicker paint or less medium within the paint, it won't mix with the bottom layer. So for example, I'm just going to do this. If I were to take just straight yellow paint here, right? Not put any medium over it, or mix any medium in it, and I were to just paint on top of this orange, notice how it just goes over it, right? It didn't mix. If I mix this with oil and did the same, it would mix with the orange underneath it. You get what I'm saying? Like will mix with like. So, anywho, now, so this became popular when paint became cheaper, and more available than it had been in the past. The reason why, like, Joe Schmo could not have painted back in the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s. Why? The paint, the canvases, or the wood, all the materials were prohibitively expensive. I'm talking the equivalent of like the materials alone for a large painting would have been in the thousands of dollars, right? People couldn't pay that. That's why there was businesses that made it. That's why the rich people could dabble, or people who could afford their kids to send them to an art school. The main exception being the guilds in Italy, But what did this mean? Is that their painting techniques had to be much more controlled and careful. So this led to specifically what a lot of people know as glazing. That's where you put you do a value painting. So just using usually lead white and burnt umber on the first layer, and getting your entire sketch or painting done in that with the values correct. And they do layers of that. They would meticulously measure. They would do everything to make sure that it was perfect, and then they would use as little paint of the expensive pigments as possible and put the color on top of it. Okay? That's how paintings were done for a tremendously long time. Tremendously long time. They developed a lot of iterations or slight variations on achieving different visual effects, specifically smoothness of the surfaces. But there were very few people who painted like this before the 1800s. Now, most notably, there's 3 that I can think of. And those were Rembrandt, Hieronymus Bosch, and Diego Velázquez, where they actually had the wealth or accessibility to paints and pigments that they could paint. Now, they didn't use like extravagant palettes for doing that. Oh, Hieronymus Bosch was a rich kid who painted, who did some cool shit. They had the luxury, or you could argue desperation to a certain extent, to not paint in that classical time-consuming way. To do the glazing, paintings could take years, mind you, because they would do layers upon layers. They would sand. They would put oil on top of it to try and achieve like there's people who devoted their lives literally to the research of getting specific surface finishes with oil paintings. So Alla Prima became a thing when people could go outside and paint, and somebody else could make their paints, and the tubes meant that the paints wouldn't dry up. It was a culmination of factors that you could argue were the reason for the movement to begin with. Because frankly, Impressionism couldn't have happened without the collapsible aluminum tube. They couldn't have done without it. Those people were still very special, mind you. But if they didn't have that, it would have happened when it did with another group of people. So there you go. That's your lesson. That's your historical paint fact. Any questions? Good, no questions. I hope you learned something. Now, there might have been other Alla Prima painters, but it was those were the only ones that I have heard directly or know painted in a Alla Prima fashion. But it also led to Rembrandt's downfall. I wouldn't say downfall. Rembrandt was kind of the first impressionist. And once he learned how to, started painting like that, he never wanted to go back, and it caused his business to fail. And he was not great with his money. Because basically the ideal with painting back in the day was hyperrealism. Bosch, yeah, Bosch was a noble family. From my understanding, I need to look more into this, and I might be referring to something that is wrong, mind you. But my understanding is he was like a wealthy noble who was just like, Ma, I'm painting in my room, and would just paint. You know what I mean? And because normally, you know, Sashi, think about this. If that was also secondarily, when he painted those paintings, if that was a person who didn't have influence or money, they would have been fucking executed. The church did not like him. I mean, he's painting demons. Right? And he did that, what, it was like 1500s? Right? He was early 1500s, wasn't he? He might have been early 1600s. Will somebody look when the Garden of Earthly Delights is made? It was pre-surrealism. He painted Alla Prima, right? But his paintings obviously took him a long time. But he did not do like glazing and that shit. And he only did like 8, 9, or 10 paintings, I believe. Yeah. So yeah. All right. So you see that it was early 1500s. Isn't that crazy, Sashi? Like that time period to be doing that. People were killed for a lot less than that. But to have the paints that he did and not be like a member of a guild or like a painter, he had to be extremely like, or can't come from a wealthy family to even have access to that shit. Yeah, isn't it interesting when you think about things like that? It makes the art a lot interesting. I actually had that experience at the museum, the Milwaukee Museum I was just at, or at like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now, where it's like, yeah, I'm seeing this like kind of Renaissance era stuff that doesn't do much for me, but then when you think about some of the, like, a lot of those were commissions or they were advertisements for painters. Well, also, his paintings were a huge hit, Sashi. People try, his paintings become some of the most forged paintings. I have heard this, that his paintings were the most forged in his time period. Like, people loved it. But he never took commissions. He was never, like, he was not an artist as a profession. It was like, as a hobby. Yeah. By feel and flow, right? So one extruders, if I saw oil dripping down, because sometimes if you add too much oil, it will drip. That's too much. But if you're getting like good opacity and coverage, and you're not seeing any leakage, you're fine. You don't want to go too much though. There is some issues that can happen if you add too much medium. His dad was a painter and 4 other brothers. Oh, no shit. I didn't know that, Omizu. Well, that's good to know. So, yeah, that family probably had money. I mean, he became renowned and famous for a reason. He did something that other people didn't do. That holds up very well. Flat with oil instead of Can you elaborate, Kitten? What do you mean, ever paint flat with oil instead of on a stand? Like, have this, the physical canvas being flat, face down, like, being like you're looking down upon it? Yeah, so why, that's what I figured. I just wanted to clarify. Yeah, so, all right, so people do that, but why do you think I have it perfectly straight up? Let's play a game. Why do you think I have it perfectly straight up? Or as straight up as I can possibly make it? Check for drips? Nope, not that. Pretty much extruders. I want my line of vision to be straight on, right? I don't want my perspective to be changed because when one side is farther away, because think about it, if you tilt it, that's why it's not even tilted, right? You're going to be seeing a farther, when you're looking at, standing in the same spot, one part is going to be farther away from you than not, and I'm trying to limit that as much as possible. I highly, highly, highly recommend when painting to be perfectly straight. Like if I had a flat wall here, I would just put it on the wall. Gotta work out this head. That might be the issue with this one. This head and neck relationship. His wife came from family, wealthy family. Interesting. Thank you for looking that up, Omizu, or knowing it. I've been meaning to look up on Hieronymus. Let's bring out some more of that paint I hate. It's one of those things I've always been meaning to look up because you could deduce a lot about his circumstance just by what he did, right? Because I don't think he even sold the paintings. At least in his lifetime. Well, I guess, like I'm almost positive I've heard this, that he didn't do them for other people. Which is what every painting was made, like, pretty much back in the day for. By the way, tomorrow we're making gouache, everybody. We're making the last 2 colors of gouache. Live and uncensored on stream. There just would have been less paintings. Like, frankly, the religious paintings did the world a service, Sashi, because it gave people the resources to advance it all. Those paintings wouldn't have really existed otherwise. There would have been there probably would have been a few that still did, but you know, pretty much every painting that drove the industry was for religious iconography and, you know. Look at how big this head is. I'm gonna have to revisit this devil body now that I got some of this stuff in here. I think tremendously less. Sashi, I think quite the opposite. I think there would have been so much less range of subject matter without it. Like a tremendous amount less. Because a lot of people did stuff in defiance of the church on its own. You know, like there was plenty of paintings that were like scandalous because they went against shit. So because of that, the aspects of rebellion or protesting, but in the clever, smart ways, that like I am firmly of the belief that because a lot of paintings were around either rich, like the aristocracy, the monarchy, and the church, led to much better art than if they didn't have it. Now that means there was still plenty of garbage. It's like what we see today. You know. The annoying part is we're in the middle of an art movement that is solely based around making money and marketing. Like we're in a real frustrating part of art history right now. Because even the avant-garde people like Banksy and all them turned to just fucking, you know... Banksy was probably from the beginning all about money, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there aren't people... And of course, I'm trying to make money and stuff like that. It's just what is considered high or fine art. Like, a Matisse painting just went for like $310 million. I think it was 309. Why is it frustrating, Omizu? Because it's soulless. It feels soulless. It doesn't feel like people are... most people are not pursuing art for like the joy or the passion. It's because they see it as a means to an end of getting money. And then it just highlights people's skills of being able to manipulate others. Yeah. I was bitching about this the other day. It's like how frustrating it is to see like a major YouTube content creator saying, can I learn portrait painting in 2 weeks? When it goes against all the fucking points of why we even do this. There are, and those people are great, Omizu. But you know, do you think that that's incorrect to say that a massive majority of the people who are, I guess, at least in, all right, wait, hold on. I gotta change this. There are plenty of people who are still doing it for passion. However, it is drowned by the vocal portion of the community who are actively trying to manipulate and make money. It's all of it. It's also social media, Kitten. I understand that, but they're still technically a part of the art community. Because those people existed back in the day as well, but not to a larger extent. Right. Now, do I have the numbers saying they are the majority? I don't. But we know they dominate the high-end art scene. Like, we know that's the entirety of the high art scene. Yeah, Sashi, I wouldn't like, you know, frankly, if they copy you, they copy you, right? But like that shouldn't stop you from like doing what you enjoy, right? I guess I'd argue you gotta try and do it better than them. Or just keep on doing your shit better. Probably a better way of saying that. It's both, Omizu. Right? There's people who just keep on posting on Instagram their little hacks and shit because they enjoy the idea. Like, you know, it's like, you know, that person I bitch about, that Becca channel on YouTube, where it's like they're only a part of the art community because they can monetize little stories and made up horse shit and little videos. They're not like, if they love painting, they would also keep on painting while doing that, right? And it's annoying though that how saturated our market is, our world is, with shit like that, of people who have found that, okay, wait, it's more about just making money and not really participating or pretending to participate. I mean, I keep on saying I want to release more YouTube videos to build a following, but the reason I don't is because I don't have time, because I want to do this other shit is way more important to me. I've seen that. Yep. I saw a guy on Instagram who was trying to sell his special solvent, and he was exclaiming that solvent destroys oil and paint, and it's just like, oh god, the gall to just make up shit. Just fucking make stuff up. Oh my god, does it just fucking disgust me. The sheer audacity. To the guy who's saying his watercolors makes your wiener 14 inches bigger. I hope you can see where all my sarcasm stems from, everybody. Do you see? Oh yeah, badly made wheelbarrows. I should get one as a prop, though. Okay, I need to figure out this head. Well, I should probably go to the red next, huh? No. No, it actually does quite the opposite, kitten. Solvents, oil is soluble in solvents. We call them solvents as a general term. But you know how, like, you know, your powdered drink mixes, right, are soluble in water, right? They turn into a solution, a homogeneous solution, right? Oil in solvents, oil is soluble in solvents like Gamsol, turpentine, a few other things, right? So it just spreads the oil out. It doesn't disperses. It's a dispersion agent, right? It spreads it out, okay? Okay. So now why do I advise using against solvent? Or what are the negative things that can happen with solvent? Okay. The big issue is that it splits those molecules apart, and those surfaces you paint on, see the white, is porous. And what happens is some of the oil goes into, especially with solvents, the oil goes into those pores. And now suddenly you don't have enough oil for the pigment to bind to on your surfaces, leading to an uneven surface finish and a matte finish that is not what you want in oil. Okay? So it's like you'll have dry pigment on the top. It doesn't get rid of the oil, but it pushes it into an area that you don't want it to be. Okay? All the oil stays there. Oh, that's cool, Drez. Hi, Martini. So, if you insist on using solvent, mix it with stand oil. Stand oil particles are larger than regular oil particles, and it doesn't go in, it's too large for those pores on the surface. That's one way to combat it. The other way is don't use solvent. But for him to say it destroys oil or destroys your paint is patently false. It doesn't. But it's a guy trying to lie and sell his special solvent that he has a 1,000% markup on. It's not about the glow is not from that kitten. The glow is purely about contrast. It's about just the proper binding of oil and pigment. More common trying oils sometimes. Oils are the easiest pigment to use. He's got, yeah, exactly, Omizu. Oils are the easiest medium to use. I was legitimately angry, Martini. But yeah. No, you can get the glow. It's just a matter of contrast. Just a matter of contrast. I'm still getting a little glare. Glare's not as bad as it usually is. But the glare is from that light back there. Is it from that light? I'm gonna try turning off a light really quickly. Oh, it's Monument Hobbies guy. I know Monument Hobbies. I bought shit from there. Does this make my palette too dark? Let's just see. Much different in the painting. Does feel a lot darker in here. I was fine with Monument Hobbies. I didn't have any didn't really have any complaints about them. It's miniatures though. It's like miniature, like Warhammer related stuff. It's not like canvas painting. Well, there you go. Well, that's not a good sign. All right, they're blacklisted. Yeah, Monument Hobbies is for miniatures. It's all miniature geared. Because that's how I got into this shit, was through miniatures, mind you. That's true. But you don't want to use a fine I don't recommend using, if you're trying to paint like me with acrylics, that you shouldn't use a size 00 sable brush. See if I could use this.
Get your hand off my penis!
That wasn't my hand. That was yours, Richards. I will tell you how to paint. I absolutely will. That color seems pretty accurate. Too bad. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. You know me better than this by now, Drez. If I see somebody saying something wrong or stupid, I'm going to tell you. Or lying. Just like anything else, good quality makes things better, better paint, better. Yeah. But, think about how relative, for example, there is obviously empirical better canvases. There's empirically better paint. Brushes is where I will put a lot of, that is such a subjective thing, right? Brushes are truly one of the most subjective pieces of material. And that's actually very apparent in the miniature painting world. Hog's bristle, true, but there's synthetic bristle. I have not noticed a difference between the two, or noticeable difference, right? I don't clean my brushes. Some people argue they can't use their paintings without the perfect shape. And like, I've done this entire thing with this fucking brush. Wherever you can see it. I've only used this brush on this entire thing so far. This isn't even bristle. But it's like one of those things where it's like, if you feel comfortable moving around the paint with that brush, it's not going to affect, like, for example, a brush is not going to affect archivability, right? Paint will, canvas will, right? Like, I will argue that, like, in watercolor, you need brushes with certain, like it probably works better, but there are people who do it with worse on that, No, this is the painting. Why use a brush when you can use your fingers? Because the people who use their fingers are assholes, Amizu, and I'm referencing one specific guy who I despise. Blink! Hot town, summer in the city. I mean, and Richards, like, for me, agreed. Like, bristle, I'm not even gonna add hog's bristle. I'm just gonna say bristle. Synthetic or regular, both have worked for me, right? And it helps a lot for how I paint, because it helps you move the paint around. And I would not, and if you wanted to paint like this, I would highly recommend only using bristle. But if you're glazing, bristle is almost unusable. If you're using solvents, bristle becomes largely unusable. At least when you're mixing solvents in there. Yeah. But for Warhammer, like I've seen people use, like, there's a lot of famous painters who use cheap ass brushes for Warhammer too. So I don't even see evidence. I have not seen consistent evidence that brushes, at least brushes that you pay more money for. And I've seen a lot of evidence to the contrary. To its like meaninglessness. I gotta fix this, but let's do this. But so far, my new lighting I'm pretty happy with, because what I'm seeing on the palette is coming through on the canvas, and that's very, very good. That's good. It's a big step for me. I haven't had this for like 6 months, 7 months. I'm not familiar with them. So this head might need to move this way. Yeah. Company out of Spain. I would have guessed Poland. You sure that's not Polish? When I was painting Warhammer, I liked, what was it, Raphael, the sable brushes. I had a good experience with those. I also took care of them. We're getting some glare there. Interesting. Oh, are they? Yeah, I mean, when I was doing it is now like 4 years ago. 5 years ago? Well, have they come back since the tariffs are gone? All right, what did I want this for? I need to actually get the bit of you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would never trust Winsor & Newton to make a product that was like well made and fairly priced. Unfortunately. That's why you should buy badly made pube brushes. Made from the highest grade pubes. The highest grade pubes on the market, badly made pube brushes. Some blacks mixing in there. Can't be beat. Feels good to paint again, though. I haven't painted in a while. Been like a week. Because people have to have their gouache. Maybe it goes down to here. People just had to have that gouache. I did see, Drez, that the Galkid Pro pigments are not available on Amazon again. Maybe they're lowering their prices. Can't squash the gouache. Yeah, I am. Drez. It's Galkid Pro and CAS art. Yeah, I was looking at just getting some yellow just to have. I was gonna pay for it just to have it behind. And all their bigger tube stuff is unavailable. Yep, I'm a little bit low on Pyrol Red. But I'm working out, by the way, Drez, I am working out a connection to actually get Kramer pigments shipped over here. I have family in Krakow, Poland, that have a Kramer location in their town. So they might be able to buy it and ship it over here on the cheap. Plus, my dad's going to Poland in July. And I think he's gonna mule some back for me. Specifically bismuth yellow. Not Kramer, it's that New York. I did a lot of research. Well, I don't know, sorry. Unless it's different than the New York one. But the New York one literally just buys it and ships it over here, and then you have to pay a markup on top of that. So to get a kilogram to get a kilogram of the yellow, it's cheaper than buying from Kramer and then shipping it over here. A pigment mule. Did you know that, Drez? Because you could still order off of Kramer. I got a quote from them. So it's 210 euros for a for shipping a kilogram of bismuth vanadate yellow lemon with shipping, which turns out to be about 250 bucks. The New York company wanted 300. Yeah, I've been investigating because I need more of that yellow. I also, turns out, have a neighbor who works for Sherwin-Williams, and I asked him if he could tell me who their suppliers was, and he said yes. Like, he has a list, so I'm gonna see where they get their pigments from. I literally just checked last week, Drez. Only on bismuth vanadate yellow. And basically, it just seems that they just order it from Kramer for you, is like the service that they're providing. Of bismuth vanadate, I could use about 10 kilograms of it, Dreadfella. If I had the money to buy 10 kilograms. I don't have the money to buy 10 kilograms, though. Unless it was, like, so cheap that I couldn't say no. Then I'd find a way to get the money. But I also need... I'm trying to establish this, Drez, because I get my Pyrols from Kramer, or I want to get my Pyrols from Kramer. I want to get quinacridone from Kramer, and I can only get my Phthalo from Kramer. From where, Drez? And how much would it be? What's the price per kilogram? It's that little? What company? Yeah, I did. I had somebody from Croatia checked. That's the Japanese company, right? Sun Chemicals Japanese. Most likely, or is that, yeah. And they ship here? Like, how could I, like, do I have to find a contact if I wanted to arrange other pigments? Like, how would I go about ordering it in the future? I can arrange that. I could arrange that, no problem. Do I need to be an actual business for them to do business with me? Like, I'm not an LLC. Nor do I want to create one. Yeah, but yeah. I'll message you on Discord. I'll message you on Discord. But I also want to figure out how I can order from them too, so we don't have to do that every time. Because, like, I would like to see the prices on the Pyrols. Yeah. I mean, I'd obviously have interest in that, so. Because if I could get 10 kilograms for $60 plus shipping, I mean $600 plus shipping, I would, yeah. That would be huge for me. Is DuPont still the manufacturer of quinacridone? But 25 kilograms of quinacridone is like a lifetime supply. Dispersions. Well, I mean, they still need pigments, but they just don't sell the pigments, essentially. They just use them for dispersions. Do people understand the blue hand, by the way, on Trump? You know, I got this tit white from this guy, a pigment supplier, but I'm not sure how I feel about the quality. Does anyone get... No, you don't get this reference? Okay. Maybe it needs to come down to like here. No, Trump has heart failure. And he has bruises on his hands. When do you think you can get that bismuth by? And you're buying pigment, not a dispersion, correct? I don't work with dispersions. Okay. Is Sun Chemicals minimum order 25 kilograms? Yes. Do they have lead carbonate? They don't. Do they have the Phthalo Blue 15:3? Do they have the Pyrols? 254, 255, and, you know, PR 254 and the orange? Those are the big ones. Do you think they're the best quality pigment? 255 is Scarlet, Pyrol Scarlet. But they have 254. So relative to Kramer, where would you put it quality-wise? Around the same. Kramer natural pigments have been the best I've encountered. Really? I thought Kramer manufactured some, no? Interesting. Why are they so bad to order from, out of curiosity? On a yellow. You know? So they're the people who deal to the distributors then, is basically what you're telling me. So that might be why I'm like... not seeing this well. And that would put this like right here. We go all the way back there. Then this would need to be like here. Maybe. Maybe. Gotcha. think this needs to all move right, huh? That is quite a bit. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, in our wonderful medical system, you know, the best in the world. Okay. You know what? Take your red pills. You might feel better. You know, if you get medical anywhere else, you have to wait like 30 minutes. You know that? Did you know? Guess that's where I'm gonna move it to. Yeah, it's just awful everywhere. In Canada, oh my God. Baby, baby, oh. Yep, definitely. Not to mention you're gonna get one of those weird Canadian doctors. Oh, I don't want to put out more paint, so I guess that's where the placement's gonna have to be. For now. We're probably gonna have to iron a lot of that out, though. I don't have a good grasp on this blue. It's been like that in the past, too. It's not even blue, it's just more neutral than I'm making it. And I gotta really lean into that next session. It's like over here. I don't think our placement is terrible for doing this all by eye. I still have suspicions on this shoulder. It might need to move right a little bit and keep that angle. I just don't have any more paint for it. But we're not in like a terrible spot here, I think. Cuz like if this is here and here, Do you know who supplies natural pigments, Drez? You don't? They have very good quality on anything synthetic that I've gotten from the modern pigments. They've had, them and Kramer have had the best synthetics, like modern synthetics that they've sold. All right, is there anything else I want to do with this? This went quick. This went quick today. Maybe a little bit more. Let's neutralize this a little bit. It shouldn't have in the last 6 months. But you don't know if companies, you know, are being dicks about it. Well, actually, with gas, who knows with gas, actually. Yeah, if you don't mind checking. Because maybe I just, like, figure out to do an order on my own. The cobalts skyrocketed. On natural pigments, it's more than doubled. Cadmiums didn't. But I know cobalts are fucked right now. Why would that go up 5 times? I mean, it's a shitty pigment anyway, so. The color is good, the pigment's shitty though. I see. I imagine those are pretty widely used though in miniatures and acrylics, I imagine. It's probably the red that they use for acrylics. With like the weird names for labels. That makes sense. It's probably really good for labels actually, with how vibrant it is. But it wasn't an expensive pigment, right? I guess when oil is cheap, it's not expensive. Some guy messaged me on Etsy asking if I'd make it for him. And then I looked into the pigment. It's like, oh, this thing fades like a motherfucker. But I've encountered somebody now that's like, was infatuated with infatuated with naphthol specifically. Why aren't I getting this right? So like here. Yeah, they just don't know what they're talking about. It doesn't fade when it's like, when you're painting with like a thick glob of it. But that's not really a great representation of the stability of the pigment. But it still probably means it'll fade eventually. But if they want to argue that, that's a bad faith argument. I am having a big issue with these dimensions right here. This, like, C. But this is something I'll have to address. And I'm basically going to have to... This is going to be at least 3. This is going to be at least 3 sessions. Because the next session it's going to be really fine-tuning these dimensions. But yeah, we're going to clean up. I know it's not that terribly long stream, but I don't like to do... When I know it's a multi-session thing, I don't want to do more. Plus, I'd have to put out basically all of my paints again. Ooh. Plus, I've been, like, working nonstop for the past, like, 5 minutes. Alright, everybody, that's going to be it. Let's clean up. I know this is a short stream. But we are making gouache tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day of gouache making on stream for a bit. So, where's my other palette knife? We are doing phthalo blue and Tyrol red. Phthalo blue and Tyrol red. 2 really vibrant, beautiful colors. That's why I don't have those, because they're just sitting in water. And then, I gotta do some, I might swatch everything tomorrow as well, like official swatch it. Because I need photos of that. But then they should be up for sale. I did all the listings and stuff. They're just hidden right now. But they should be up for sale on Monday. So if you want your gouache then. Baby, baby, baby. Ooh. Goddamn right, Beaver. You're goddamn right. Where's my solvent? There it is. Don't tell me you're not a believer. I know the truth. I know you used to go on his follow him on tour dates. Oh my god! And a lot of loots lately. No, I'm a believer. I'm not ashamed to say that. Like somebody. Ezra, how dare you loot the body? How dare you murder, then loot me? Oh my god! You're sick. That kind of reminds me. Well, sorry. When I used to DM some Dungeons and Dragons game, and whenever my group would like hobo kill somebody or just murder somebody, and they looted them, I'm like, oh, you find a picture of like them with a woman and like 8 kids, and they seemed really happy, and then you see like a receipt or like a note thanking him for his charitable donations to like the orphanage or something like that. That's something I did all the time. For some reason, when you loot the body, it reminds me of that. Okay. How you doing, Ezram? You now have oily points. You now have oily points if you didn't have them before. All right, that's good and clean. All right. Good start. Good start. All right. Now the time everybody's been waiting for. Hi, Jan. You made it just in time for the wiping of the D's. Also, yeah, that will be staying up here in my place. Son of a bitch!
Quit
No,
playing
that was
with
an
your
AI.
dinghy.
Oh, fuck. That was all AI. The setup was all AI, everybody. Carlos. Any input, though? Anything they don't like or would have, like, added to this setup? I know. Oh, Lord. Oh, it smells like vinegar. Oh, Jesus. And it burns. Fuck. Yikes. What prompt did I use? I said, make me the best art setup ever. You like it as it is? What do we think about Stephen Miller in the background? What do we think about Stephen Miller in the background?
Move this man!
I know, Dreadfellow. About to be great, I bet. What are you talking about, Grok is telling me that you're an asshole. Grok and my AI Grok girlfriend, Tatiana, are saying I shouldn't talk with you. And since I listen to everything they say, praise be to Grok. God, Old Holland fucking sucks. Fuck Old Holland. Don't buy Old Holland or Windsor and Newton. Oh my god, Jan, you're sick. Oh, that sounds delicious, Ezram. I would love that. Ooh. But if somebody wants this painting now as is, I'll let it go for $2 million.
Move this man!
Yeah, I mean, I think we got the blocking in
I
decent
award
enough.
you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
How dare you, Dreadfellow? Don't and stop booing me. But yeah, this area dimensionally is a bit fucked. Like in the body, there's stuff to be worked on there. As far as placement, and I think next stream is going to be dominated kind of by really ironing out this. Like the head might have to move down to the right a little bit. Or this head might need to shift upwards this way a little bit. It might be that. Because now I'm seeing I made the shoulder too big. But we'll see how it looks like when I come back in 2 days on this.
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
That's weird, Sashi. Right in those plums. Don't boo me, Jan. How dare you? How are you doing, Jan? All right, so yeah, tomorrow we are making the last 2 colors of gouache. They will be for sale on Monday. Okay, and I'll post that in my Discord. So if you're interested in getting gouache, Monday's the first day. I am probably going to put a limit on the yellow to have 1 per customer at most, just in case, because I am having problems sourcing a good yellow. That pigment is temporary anyways, too. Thank you, Sashi.
And that's a fact.
At the end... Ugh. Let's talk about yellows. Yellows have always been kind of a pretty good pigment. What to gold? Give me that gold. Yellow has been like a pretty... historically been a pretty... well, like... very, like... available pigment. In, like, pretty good saturations. So, like... you know, originally there was orpiment, which is an arsenic-based yellow, but it was a pretty saturated yellow. And that yellow and like vermilion really held down the fort for saturated colors. I'd say that and the combo of lead white, not necessarily orpiment, but other yellows as well. Because yellow ochre has always been around as well, and those have usually been opaque, or a lot of them are opaque. And it's created a very stable, cheap availability of one of the probably the most important colors for realism, right? Yellow is, in my opinion, the single most important color for realism. And then, like, some of the early synthetic-esque pigments, like lead tin yellow and Naples yellow came out, which also gave other avenues. Not to mention there was King's yellow, which was a synthetic orpiment, and led us into the cadmiums in the late 1800s. But there was some odd derivations. Like there was a transparent yellow that was used that also faded, and I don't know why anybody would use them, but I think it was preferential maybe for glazing. But there was one in the Renaissance that was used, I think, in and around Italy. Because companies rip you off on yellow pigments the most. By far. Companies are the rip people off on yellow, any yellow paint and cadmiums the most. And I think it's mainly why is cadmium is marketing. I think yellows is just like part of the industry of just like, no, don't make your yellow too good, because people will buy more if it's not that good. They'll try other yellows, but you know, from my perspective, it's just that they just add so little pigment to it. And they also use like I don't know why they still use any Hanzas, which still get used, like the isodilin, or I don't know, that yellow. There's another one that I saw Winsor & Newton using that I thought that was kind of crazy. But yeah, so like yellows are, in my opinion, the most important color on a palette. And historically, there has been a lot of great yellows around. And if they didn't have them, because like, for example, like there wasn't great greens, there wasn't great blues, and there wasn't purples, right? Available for a long portion, or they were prohibitively expensive, or they faded, or they were only regionally available, essentially. For watercolor, at least, yeah. But yellows, I think like the trajectory of art would have been a lot different without the yellows. If it was just yellow ochre and they didn't have like orpiment or lead tins or Naples or something like that, I think it would have been much different. At least how painting advanced. However, yellow was never used as like a... Like, reds were probably the most used, though. Reds and whites, of course. Like, lead white by weight had to have been the most used pigment up until titanium white, right, was available. It had to be a part of every palette. Every palette. Outside of when zinc came into play, but I think people understood that zinc was problematic early on. Decently problematic. But people did use zinc. But yeah, like reds though, like reds were used in like the grounds, like vermilion was used in as like a ground layer for a lot of paintings and so forth, where yellows never got into that. But yeah, I still think, and I am of the opinion that my most important on my palette, color on my palette, is the yellow. It comes into play. The main reason is it's not just greens and oranges and stuff and, you know, that range. It's also because you can use yellows to brighten up your colors, which no other of the 6 major colors can do. So you can use a full saturated yellow to make a color brighter. You can't do that with a red. You can't do that with blue, purple, green, orange being the second closest. But it's not even close to. Lemon yellow is so bright and saturated that it provides also that aspect to your color mixing. All right? I didn't even know you made oil paint. Am I going to send somebody to break your legs? Am I? Why would they review it then? Are you, Ezram? Alright, good. Alright. I think it is time. It is time. Let's find somebody to raid. Don't forget to take all their resources and bring them back to my stream. You just like that pigment. I think it's one of the most pointless pigments to use. You too, Omizu. All I really see is Pinion on as far as friends are concerned. Well, thank you, Omizu. I forget what that means exactly. Paleo's on too. Oh, Blue Skittle's on too. Changes color and line. Yeah, okay. So it's like an iridescent. There's like 10 YouTubers who just make watercolors of just like with the mica, and they call them pigment powders. And I hate that they just call it pigment powders. Who do we want to raid? We'll just raid Pinion. All right, everybody. Till next time. Tomorrow we're painting. Not painting. Tomorrow we're making gouache. Blah, 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 blah. Green bag, I'll see you in hell. If you don't follow me on Discord, please, I'm desperate. Not Discord, on YouTube. If you don't sub to me on YouTube, I'm desperate. Please, please, oh God. Keep an eye out for the, the gouache going on sale on Monday. Thank you, Sashi. And yeah. Thank you for hanging out. Stream tomorrow should be longer, depending on how fast that paint making goes. But then we're gonna come back to this on Monday. That's the key, Sashi. I'm always dehydrated. All right. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.